everyone. Richard Carlton here. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Do you guys hear the jet engine running behind me? No?
Nope.
No? All right. Well, there you go. So I want to give everyone a quick shout out. Welcome to Friday. Well, let's see if we go to fmtraining.tv. We can bring up the current webpage and look at the upcoming live training schedule. Okay. And so today is the last day of data modeling, although it's kind of an open Q&A day. I'm hoping they quit do this because literally you could talk to me. I can't even hear myself. That's how loud it is.
No, we can hear you just fine, which is
But
funny.
you don't hear the noise. We got the data modeling today. Monday is going to be kind of an interesting, we might call on audible a little bit. We'll have to see what we do. But mostly we're going to be talking about low yield nuclear weapons within the FileMaker platform, i.e. don't step on them and set them off if you can avoid it, right? And they're known landmines that not so much anything Claris has done. It's just that with great power comes great responsibility, like that Spider-Man kind of phrase from back in the day with Marvel or whoever that was. And so it's important to note that we're going to be discussing the great responsibility part right before the great nuclear bomb goes off if you don't use your responsibility correctly. So next week is low yield nukes, and today is the rest of the conversation about data modeling. And we were talking about bombs yesterday with Andy, the different Andy, right? Was that Andy again?
And Andy that was Andy. Yeah, it was Andy, and then before that was a Dimok.
Well,
we
and
were discussing bill of materials, and then we were answering like a couple like basic questions again. You talked a bit about like if you.
Yesterday was the bomb file. Margaret, can you go? I'm on sharing my screen. Can you go get the bomb file for me off the computer there? Questions about data modeling. Today's kind of the last day. We spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday going through the two parts of data modeling, which is really interrogating, nicely discussing with your customer how their business workflow works, deriving understanding and value of how their business works, what the workflow is, then figuring out once you identify the tables, then how you build the relationship graph, which was very cookie cutter. There's no creativity on that part of it if you want to follow the basic rules about Anchor-Buoy. So what we have over here are two bomb files. So this bomb file right here was a sample file created by someone else. This gets back to this idea of parts and kits. And someone had built this solution a while back. And I don't even know who built it or what it was for. It could have been either my team or someone else, but it wasn't properly commented. There's actually no comments that identify the original builder of this thing. So if you want to see how their bomb file is kind of created, they're doing this kind of one big single spider diagram right here. I think we've talked about probably not the best way of doing things. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that. I'm going to close it. So the bomb file from yesterday was interesting because we identified, I had a conversation about this, but a bomb or a kit, sometimes in the UK, they call these kits. You can have subcomponents in there. And I think Andy was talking about quite a bit about having a kit that references a kit that references a kit. And the issue got into one where, and we can demo this right here, but people get really wrapped around the axle about trying to make the relationship do the automation for you. And I think the relationship should only do basic display for you, what the relationship should do, right? All the automation, all the connecting and all that kind of stuff, like, for example, something that I would suggest not doing is that if you have you have a subassembly right here, I go to tables, I go to subassembly, and say we decided we have one subassembly, then I would say ID, the subassembly would be attached into a bomb, okay? And I would say that would be a foreign key, underscore foreign key. I'm going to create that. I'm going to go back over to relationships. This is the main anchor, so the layout's attached to these items here. But if I'm on the bomb kit and I want to see the associated subassemblies, I need to take this one and duplicate it or create new, whatever. I can take this one and duplicate it, do that, drag it up here. I'm going to rename it T1A. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to cross connect the bomb primary here, primary key to the bomb foreign key here. So this one auto enters. Foreign keys generally at a beginning level for most people, maybe intermediates too, they don't auto enter. They're just a text or number field. So what you can do is you come over here, double click this, and you have this allow creation of related records. So that's on the portal where you go to the bottom and you start typing, and it creates a related record and it auto populates the foreign key. You follow what I'm saying? So if you turn this on, You come over here. I'm going to say, okay, I have the bill of materials. I'm going to go to layout mode. I'm going to show the status toolbar. I'm going to drag the portal right here. It's almost like an iPhone layout, kind of wild. I'm going to say, show me the related records from the subassembly. So we just created this, right? I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to put maybe the subassembly. Oh, there they go again. They're cooling the jet. They're about to fire up the jet engine. So what you can do is if I come over here and I'm going to add a field real quick to the subassembly so it makes sense. Subassembly, well, let's call it name of assembly and whatever, right? So I have that right there. I hit OK. I'm going to come over here. I have the primary key for the subassembly and maybe the name of the assembly, okay? So I put that up here. I go to browse mode. There is no related records right now. So I'm going to go new window. I'm going to come over here so you can see this. I'm going to show the status toolbar, come down to subassembly. No records. So, but the box is blank right there. See that? That's inviting you to go in there and type something. And if I do that, it's going to start. Let me come over here real quick. I'm going to put the field on here. All right. So I got that. I move that over here. If I click in here, nothing happens. If I click in here and start typing, it's going to, through that relationship, create the related record, post it over here, right? So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say it's the logic board A1 or A2, okay? I click out 1, 2, 3, click. It creates a record over here. So this is where we are using the relational diagram to do workflow. This right here allows it to do some workflow. And so using a lot of advanced tricks and techniques from advanced developers like Nick Hunter and Todd Geith and Josh Ormond and Wim DeCourt, all the super smart people in the world. And I know that I didn't mention your name, but I don't have time to mention the 500 super smart FileMaker people in the world. You want a simple way of driving your business logic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, right here. I'm going to change that to there, Margaret, so you can see me. Right, Margaret? Something like that. And so I'm going to come over here and tell you that this logic is limits of what you can do with this. If you really want to create a bomb, I'm going to hit OK. If you really want to create a new record over here, if I go to layout mode and I say, I want a new record that does something, but it does a bunch of other things, this has to be scripted right here. It must be scripted. And this is the logical part of it. If you understand that a script it's basic English, go here, go to this other place over here, create a new record, set some data from a variable. Maybe you're over here and you copied a value over here. What if I say nothing more than create the record, right? Well, here's the deal right now at the moment. If you're new to FileMaker, the idea of clicking in here to type a new entry is going to be a foreign idea. A lot of times, wire, screw. The rub is that you don't see the new entry spot anymore. It's down below, right? Kind of a problem. And so you're like, well, I could have it. I can click on here, double click it. Show me the vertical scrolling, right? So now it's here. And now I can scroll down and see the new one. That's not normal user experience behavior in the modern world. What you need to do is come up here and say you'd have something like this. You'd have some text like this. You'd have a plus button like that, something like that. You end up building a button that makes sense. People know what that button will do for the most part. Then you're going to say, perform a script. But we have to create a script. Create a script. Create new record. Okay, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say open a new window because that's the first thing I want to do. Open window. Is it a window or is it or actually what we do is we go to layout, but then we have the option to go to window. Go to layout. Layout there. I'm going to go to subassembly. Well, we could do it this way first, I suppose. We come over here, create a new record. Now, the thing is, you create a new record, you're like, you want to attach them, but how do you attach them? You have to attach them with the BOM number. So what you realize, of course, is before you went to the other layout, right? Because right here we want to say set field of the And when you're in subassembly, right? Well, you're going to be actually, that's a good question. Because when you're running with a script, it doesn't matter because we're not going to use a relationship. So I would go to the main record right here, go to subassembly. Okay. I'm going to say, I want to set the field bomb foreign. The problem is I have to have a variable to set it. We never set it up here. So I'm going to go set. Initially, I have to capture it, save it, right? It's like copy paste. I'm not going to use copy paste. If we're doing copy paste, we'd say copy it there, paste it there. Okay. So I'm going to say set variable. Oop, variable. Doot, doot. Name dollar local variable because we don't care, right? It's going to be the bomb. Dollar bomb, we're going to set it to, because when we do it, we're going to be running it from this context right here. When this part of the script runs, we're here. Once we move the layout, we're going to be over here. So from here, I want to set it, this value into the variable so we keep it with us, okay? Dollar bomb. Then we come down here, create a new record. We're going to set it right here. And we click here, and we say specify target, dollar bomb, okay? And that autocomplete right there with the variable, that's from Monkey Bread. That's a free feature of the Monkey Bread plugin. So if you wondered why I started typing a dollar variable, it auto-completed. That's not FileMaker, Claris International. That's Christian Schmidt at Monkey Bread saving our from hard work. So we hit return, it's there. So now we've grabbed it, gone here, create a new record, set it. We could set something else if we wanted to. We could set a value if we wanted to. And then we would go back to where we came from. Go to layout. And we go back to the original layout, or we can just be more specific and go back to the bomb kit. So this would be the basic script. Now, I know that you're like, well, that's like 5 lines of code. The other way, we just had to teach the people to go down below. The rub is that this is a very simple example. But if you start getting elaborate where you want a lot of things going on, this code is very simple. Copy this value. Catherine, a Centaur 272, Catherine. Copy a value, copy it. Walk over to here. See some other stuff. Paste it there. Walk back. Very simple instructions. It's like a child telling a child what to do. Go ahead, 5 feet. Create a new record. Copy something, paste something, set something. Walk over here. Print something. Walk back. Very simple to code this. This is code. Okay. It's pretty simple. Okay. I understand that the idea, if it makes people feel better, how about I do this, right? You're going to be like, Richard, you're teaching them bad techniques. Yeah, I know, I got that. But this is the other way of doing it. This is how we used to do it in FileMaker too. Okay. You're like, this is a really bad technique. But if you're a brand new person, does this make more sense to you? This does exactly the same thing. And it'll work just fine. A brand new user, copy paste makes a lot of sense because you should already know what copy paste is because you probably use it in Word or in Excel or somewhere else, unless you only TikTok. And then I don't have copy paste in TikTok. If you're a TikTok only person, Instagram only person, I don't have copy paste in there. If that's your entire experience of computers, then you might be in trouble. Make sense? So the idea is that these commands are very, very, very simple. And you can do a lot more elaborate stuff. Create a new record, duplicate a record, compare some stuff, build a chart, do a bunch of other stuff. Then you're done. And then I can, when I'm done, I can come back to where I was, duplicate that command, bring it down here, go back to where I was. I got bomb kit right there. Save it, close it, hit OK, close it right here, close right there. Is it being difficult? Oh, I have to tell it to run that script, sorry. Run that script. Okay, I go to browsement, right? So here we are. I'm going to go to a different record now. I'm going to create a bomb. This is bomb 2. This is going to be the, we had a mouse yesterday. We're going to build keyboards. So you have some sort of SKU number for the keyboard. It's a super duper duper glowing keyboard with tritium keys, slightly radioactive keys. There we go. So tritium keys that glow in the dark, right? So if I run the script over here, so we have wire odd with this over here. If I run this button right here, it's going to create a new record over here and attach it right here. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. I'm going to press the button and see if you go over here, you got record number 4. Now I didn't have it set a name or do anything else like that, but we could have. It created the new record, came over here, right? So that's the idea of scripting basic workflow. The idea is such an important concept. Modeling the data, then building the Anchor-Buoy, and as you build a layout, the relationships that you put on there are driven by what you need to see on the layout. Like, because I need to see, if I was done with this layout and I didn't have any other related data on it, then I would only have one related connector from the parent to the child, right? Now that's pretty simple. Most people have four or five at least on there for most things. Pretty straightforward. The idea is that you script it with basic language and not try to get clever by doing some really interesting shenanigans with a relationship, dive deep on the relationship. Margaret, questions?
There aren't really questions. Oh, okay.
Comments?
Well,
I'll
there's a
take
comment from
comments then.
there actually, never mind. Stu snuck in a question at the last second. I missed yesterday. Did we talk about how to show an entire BOM on one layout with an indeterminate number of levels, subassemblies? Example, like 6 levels?
We discussed it. We could work on it. We did not. Stu's asking about this. Do you need that? Because Andy was talking about that, right? It was the
Yeah,
idea.
Stu's asking about it.
Yeah. So what I built right here was like, this is I guess the parent level of the BOM, and this is like well, a subassembly level 2, and then level 3 would be like the individual component parts. We talked about that. Andy was talking about the idea of having the BOM reference itself, which you could do. You could totally, but I would script it. And the problem you're going to get into with that is that if you have 5 or 6 deep, you could have although I'd be honest with you, I think in FileMaker 20.3, the new one that came out yesterday, I think this would go a lot faster. So, because one of the things that they did with 20.3, at some point when we have Hans on the show, we can stopwatch all this. They have cached a bunch of the relationship data they didn't have cached before. They also cached away a lot of the scripts loop. As you do looping, FileMaker frequently, as a loop completes, it frequently reloads data or does something like that, right? And they did some caching in there that causes a bunch of the looping scripts to go a lot faster, right? So once again, not really important things, but yeah, the idea the idea is what he's saying here is that if we try, we should try this. We should try this because it's basically a self relationship, right? You have to relate this. And off the top of my head, I'm just thinking about this. Like if we had, this is a subassembly, but what if we had it related to itself, right? So what if this was, you related that and you related that, and you want to see them all on the screen at one time, you'd have to write a script that would write that into a display table, because what it's going to do is that it's because you've got the circular reference kind of going. You'd have to define. Yeah, you'd have to script it. It's an exact example. So everyone wants me to just do like like Stu's talking about this. Do it in 5 seconds and it's done, and it's so simple. You can't do it with the relational graph, at least not without Todd Geist or Nick trying to build it. And the question is, would it be fast? Would it be performant? And even if they built it, would you be able to support it and modify it and use it in an intelligent way? I couldn't at all. There's no way I could do that. So what I would do is I would be inclined to script it in such a way so that if I want to see like show me the related BOM or something like that, I would have a script that would go to pop a new window, find the related data, either display it on screen or bring it over as records in a text and display it. But it's not a quick project to build, right? It's a little bit of work because you could have it display that information, then it finds another one and it goes and grabs that and finds that. And it's like kind of like a hierarchical indentation of how deep you could go with the sub-assemblies in the BOM, right? Like if you have a Toyota vehicle and you have the car is the final highest level, then you have the engine that's dropped in it, and then all the parts of an engine and all the components of the engine. I mean, you could talk about thousands of parts real easy, right? So it's doable. I would script it. I would not try to design it with the relationship graph. People want to do that. It's not supportable and the performance would be questionable. I could guarantee success if you scripted it. I could not guarantee success if just doing it with the relationship graph. Like when I say guarantee success, customers over there, little window over there, behind that window. Oh, there they go. They're starting the helicopter again. And then that window in there, they're hiding in there, doing paperwork in there, right there, right. My arms backwards in there. And I could go in there and I say, I would promise I could do this. I wouldn't know the exact cost, but I tell them we can do it in FileMaker, but we would script it. If you're trying to build it with relationships, I would tell you that you may not be able to get there with that. I couldn't guarantee success, but I can guarantee code it. Absolutely code it. So, I mean, it's probably not what Stu's looking for, but it's only a 1 hour show.
Stu is still responding. Ed is saying that he has a self relationship in his permit file, so he can see related permits, sprinkler, fire alarm, etc., to the permit being displayed.
But he has a self relationship.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from here, say that we use this as a self relationship over here, okay? And then you have, I mean, we could build this out, but you're only going to see one level at a time. That's kind of the problem. That's why you have to script it, right? So if you go to ID parent bomb like that, underscore foreign key, create, oh, I'm in subassembly, wrong spot. So you got the ID of the primary key for the record, but then if you want to attach it to its parent bomb, right? Create, okay? So then you go back over relationships, you're over here, you're going to cross connect this from here to that change, okay? So that's kind of what most people are talking about. The problem is that this one then could actually reference other bombs too, right? Other bombs could reference this, right? I mean, I guess let's play with this a little bit, okay? Let's build this out so people understand what we're talking about. So what I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna go to this bomb kits. Okay, let's work on this a little bit. I'm gonna go back to the relationship. This time I'm gonna name this correctly. So this is the T1A. I would call this child bomb. Okay, just to keep it kind of semi not insane. Okay, so down here I'm going to see that this is the bomb. I can see the child bomb. Okay, that's great. The field over here, I'm going to put the bomb, the primary key, and probably the bomb name. Okay, so this is showing you right now. We don't have one over here. I'm just going to put it in here. I'm just going to type in here super widget. Okay. And then over here, we have 3 records. This is the keyboard, but its first subcomponent is a super widget, right? So if I come over here, I go to record 3, and there's super widget. But then on super widget, you could say, well, it has a subassembly of a incremental widget. So now you have this one is the parent, then this is the first child. And now there's another one over here, right? So if I go up here and I say new window, this is what he's talking about, Margaret. You follow what I'm saying here? So now you've got this. So what they're trying to do is discuss how they would roll this into one layout, right? And the way that you do that is you have to write a script that's going to roll it up into a display. I would create a table called display, right? I'm going to create the table. It's going to probably put its default 5 fields in there, which is so obnoxious. I would say delete. And I would say ID, I'm just going to create a sort ID. And then you'd have text. And then text A, you could have text A, you could have text B. And what you're going to do is you're going to, and then text C, something like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to populate, I'm going to hit OK, pop a new window. And then you're going to come over here to display. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say view layout setup as a views, right? I want to see it as a list. So that's on there. How come I don't see it? If I go to views, I'm only on a list view, right? It should only show me the list view, show view list view, right? And it's maybe it is working. I just let me create a new layout for me. Say new layout. We'll just do it that way. Layout. It's going to be for the computer. It'll be new list view. I want a list. Finish. So then I come over here and I grab these fields here. I'm going to put them sideways on here with the label above, drag them over here. So this is what you're going to end up doing. You're going to end up writing a script that's going to build this out for you, if that makes sense, right? If I make it smaller, the idea is that you're going to build out what you need to display by hand, okay? And you're like, oh, well, that's a pain in the ass. Okay, well, you're asking for a hierarchical portal or a hierarchical display, and that's not fundamentally something FileMaker does, okay? And I'm sure other people have played with this and come up with stuff. I know Andy got frustrated with it and quit using didn't use FileMaker to build it. But that's kind of where this goes. So as you create new records in here, you'd have data in here, data in here, and then you would decide maybe even one text field, and you're just indenting and building the display so you can build the information, right? But the idea is that you can have unlimited bombs right now, and you could build an interface to bounce up and down these levels, but to display the whole thing on one screen at a time is going to take a little bit of effort. Questions?
Nope, that makes sense. Stu had a comment like, good thoughts on how to do it in FileMaker. Thank you for confirming my instinct. A friend once did multi-level bombs in MS Access and was able to successfully bring Access to its knees.
Right.
So,
well, that's the rub with this. If you run the here's the deal. If you could get the relationship to display it, it probably, because you got this kind of recursion, almost like a recursion level thing where it's digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you had a pretty involved, like if you're trying to look at a Toyota pickup truck or something like that, you could have 20,000 items in there and it would be recurring and digging down, and it caused FileMaker to really choke, and it would choke every time you went to display it. But if you ran a script that built out the display for you, then it would only go slow when you ran the script, and you would precisely run the script when you wanted to. Back to the idea of progression of learning. As a beginning developer, no one really understands this stuff. They just want things to work. They don't care about, how fast it is, things like that. As you become more of an established developer, you want things to run quickly. And so you want slow things to be precisely triggered when you want them to be triggered. Like everything I'm telling you right now is foreign concepts for most of the people out there in the world of FileMaker. Developers like yourselves or higher understand that if you have slowness, you want to control when the slowness occurs. So like when FileMaker comes out and parts of it are 500 to 600% faster, we're spending a lot of time here discussing how we do things to deal with performance issues. So if someone makes it 500 or 600% faster doing something, that's kind of a big deal, okay? We spend a lot of time trying to build the things or design the things we want, and bring it to its knees is what I'm trying to avoid. And so by controlling the display, it only updates the display when you tell the script when to run, right? It's like when we have the summary fields on a list, I put summary fields at the bottom. I don't really put them at the bottom. I put them off the screen. I put text fields at the bottom. And so then I tell that to update. So if I'm at the bottom and I want to see the totals at the bottom, I teach everyone to hit the update button. It will then run updates for them when they want to see the totals at the bottom, okay? Makes sense? Otherwise, every time you go to the list view, you get a progress bar as it slowly starts calculating the total, okay? And that's the difference between a beginning developer and an intermediate developer. You learn to control the slowness when you control it, okay? Make it do what you want it to do. And if it runs slow on part of it because you have a very intensive process, there's nothing wrong with FileMaker. Stu just said that you could cause Microsoft Access to go super slow. I think you can cause anything to go super slow with a big enough block of data that it's chewing on, right? So the idea is to control. This is not a FileMaker thing. This is a technique where if in other data system, if you have the other data system do stuff for you automatically, then it'll do it when it feels like it. If you control the code specifically, run the scripts with a push button or a trigger, then you control when the slowness occurs, which means you can, it's like a magician only showing the fastest, highest speed, greatest parts of the solution to your customer who's paying you. The slowness is like, that's behind the curtain, and we're never going to show you the curtain. What happens behind the curtain? Right? Maybe it runs on the server. Maybe it runs at night, in the middle of the night, so no one notices it. It runs whenever, right? I mean, Larry the Marine, we ran into this. I told him to run a startup script, and it might be slow, so run it on the PSOS on the server for him. So yeah, so I think it's a good question. I think if you were going to build something like this, you'd have to find someone who built one of these recently, and then take what they've learned and apply it and try to build the lightest solution you could. But a bomb with infinite levels was what Andy was asking for, and then what Stu is two of you asking for within a day. It's kind of weird. I don't know if that's such a high. I haven't had anyone ask me about bombs in 2 years, and then suddenly I get 2 requests in 2 days.
David Angel has some questions. Would it be better for a new card window to create a new subassembly record? Question mark.
It's not so much whether it's a card or it's a layout or whatever. It's the part that where the data is being manipulated, created, set, copy, pasted, how the records are being created. You want to do it with a script. As my only point. I'm not saying use cards, don't use cards. Whether you use a card or you use a document window like this, the reason I'm using 3 right here is because I can independently move 3. If you have a card style window that's open, you only really have 1, and you can't interact with the other items in real time. So, yeah, I mean, I think absolutely you could use cards. That's fine. You're talking about a user experience issue. That won't matter in terms of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about trying to get, like, what I'm talking about. You get Nick going here, someone going here, and they have a relationship here. Then they have this connected here. Then they have a double XYZ connection here. Then they have a connection up this way, and they do a connection this way. And then they say, if you put a filter sort on the portal bomb, and then you do this other filter thing, and you sort backwards with indexing on, you can get it to work. I'm going to throw up. Oh, it'll work. No problem. Okay, that's great. But only the who built it
We'll never know how it works.
and can support it. It's like if I had a helicopter, like, see this helicopter right here? That was made by Hughes, which was bought by McDonnell Douglas, which is now made by Boeing. If I want to get someone, you want to pay them, I can go to Boeing and hire 100 engineers that come work on this helicopter, okay? But imagine you built a helicopter that only Nick can work on if he's not in Greece. I don't want something that's so unique and so special that only one dude on the entire planet, or lady, nice lady, can support it. Lots of female developers. A third of the FileMaker community is now women, which is great. Back in the old days, it was all dudes.
Next question from David. Portal should be sorted to show last created record first? Question mark. Would that have effect on it at all? So like if you had like the last created record first, would that do anything to like make trying to one-step calculation it easier, I guess?
I don't think there's nothing anyone here can say that's going to make this more digestible, because this is all dependent upon whatever shenanigans, whatever problem someone's trying to solve. Okay. If you sort a portal, you're putting more strain and load on the computer, period, end of story. Okay. So the question is I don't think most people understand what I'm saying is that you're going to display the data, and you might have this over here, but you might just show, I'm going to actually take this as a portal or as a list view and put this bill of materials up here at the top. So that's what, I guess I didn't complete that kind of picture, but if I had, the goal is what you're doing is you're taking this material here and you're putting it over here in like a header or something. There's a top navigational header. That's really, I kind of hate that. That's a iOS thing. And you put this stuff up here. Ugh, don't do that. Don't do that. Make it bigger. Okay. This is kind of what you're looking for, right? Something like this. Come on, paste. And so when you display your bill of materials, instead of you and then trying to have, listen, FileMaker's never going to do a hierarchical display. We have some demos where you can do a portal tree. We call it a portal tree, where you can turn it in and show some things indented, 2 or 3. But Still and Andy both ask for unlimited levels, which is basically the road to having FileMaker quit working. When you say unlimited, any database system is going to have a hard time chewing on that. However, if you had this up here and then you had a script that went to the first level, displayed this, then it found these sub-supporting levels and then wrote them in here, under here, and then found this one and found them under here, and then you had another new record, and then another one under here, and another one under here, and then you had another new record over here. You built this, right? Built this. And so then suddenly you have this interesting kind of portally this display, right? If I go to preview and I go minus sign, oh, that sucked because it's not showing the header. But yeah, that's because it's a top nav. I changed the header. Okay, it should work now. So this is what you're looking for, right? So you run a script that builds this out down here. See what I'm saying? It's not an automatic portal that's sorted with anything. I mean, you could sort this data down here, sure, but it's not. It's forcibly manufacturing it could be a single block of text if you wanted to go down that road. I don't know that either people are asking different questions or I'm not communicating well. And I really like to communicate well and explain things to people. What I'm trying to tell you, there's times when you do not want to use the built-in relationship to try to make business logic work, because scripting will always be more flexible than any relational diagram.
Well, it's a kind of a complicated concept, because like Centauri asked, is there like a past training on using, like, when you should use scripts instead of relationships? So
no, I mean, I haven't really covered this like this, hit it hard until this last week. Okay. I mean, yeah, we talk about it in the performance section of the paid training course. If you go to our paid training course, we talk about performance quite a bit. However, the rule of thumb I would say is that if I will give you the Todd Dignan rule of thumb, one of my senior engineers, the Todd Dignan rule of thumb is that if he has to have more than three, about this many in a row together, he will quit doing it because by the time you get over here and over here, you're displaying data here and it's going like this, that the performance takes a dive and dumps somewhere around 4 to 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somewhere in here, the performance he thought became unacceptable to the customer, our customer, the RCC customer, and he doesn't like to tab the customer, say, Todd, you're really great. You're, $190 an hour or whatever the hell he is. And oh, by the way, this is unacceptably slow. Right? It's not a conversation I want to have with a customer. We want them to say, yeah, you're an expensive asset or not expensive asset. If you make it go really fast and kick, it's a cost-effective asset. That's what you want them to feel like they've spent the money well. And to do that, you have to make sure it runs rapidly. So what I'm trying to say is that if you have business logic in the business where I'm going to give you this example again. I talked about this yesterday. I'm going to bring it up again today. Some of you missed yesterday. I'm going to bring up Big Valley. Okay. Right. I'm going to bring up Big Valley here real quick. And here was the problem I had. Okay. So this is that guys recognize this. You folks, ladies, everyone. If I say guys, I just mean all the developers here. Okay. So here we have discrepancies. Okay. So I'm going to go over here. 76 pop echo 100. Okay. So here we go. So these are 27 discrepancies that are written here. So this is a portal, okay? So it doesn't matter what's in the portal, okay? The issue we had with the portal, one of the business logic issues was that we wanted to insert a new portal record in between here. Insert it. And you're like, well, you can't, and if you don't sort it, you have to sort it. So there has to be a sort. So I create a field called the sort order. This is the number here, okay? And it displays by that. Well, then you have to actually have it by pushing a button here, and forget these statuses right here. This is in developer mode. The customer doesn't see these. These right here show me the scripts that are being called as a diagnostic tool. I turn these on. Only admin can see these, right? So, but they have a button right here that says insert a portal row is what this is. How do you tell FileMaker the relationship graph to install, put a portal right here between number 4 and 5? How do you do that? Talk to Todd, guys, talk to Monkey Bread, beat your head against the wall, or write a very simple script that captures this before it does anything. You're on this layout, it captures this number, then it's going to go to pop a new window, which you don't see happen. It's going to, which the base table of this portal row, the records are native there. So it'll go to the discrepancy table, creates a new record, attaches it to the work order number here. So as that script runs, it's going to grab that number there. I just did this a second ago. Everyone saw me do this. It grabbed the parent number, then it runs over to the other location, right? And then it's going to paste that in there to attach it. Then it's going to set a number between that and that in there. So what I do is I take that number, I go to the next one, I take that number, I figure out the difference, I split it, divide by 2, and I give it the new number would be 4.5 or something. Let's see if it'll do that, or if it'll just roll all the numbers down. But the point is that you can't do that. You can't make this work in a relationship. There's no combination of things here that I'm aware of without an IQ of like 1,000 that can make that happen with a combination of things in here. And so instead of trying to figure out how to do it this way, how about you just write a simple script? You copy that value there, then you copy the value of the one above it, maybe the one below it. I did this a couple different ways. Then you go and pop a new window. And then you create the new record. So I'm going to do it right now. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to press it. Short delay. Pop. It pops up somewhere. There it is. It was 4.25. Then it resequenced the numbers. Interesting, eh? So this was a scripted action. It was not part of any crazy relationship strategy. If it's anything remotely interesting, you need to script it.
Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. If anyone has any questions, let me know. I don't really see any at the moment. People are saying, okay, some people, I'll tell Richard later. Some people are saying this is a good lesson. I think we're probably wrapping up for today, especially since there is a massive jet engine going off in the background. People are saying this has been a really interesting week, and thank you very much. So,
All right, so
they have
Monday will be a
enjoyed
low
the topic.
yield nukes, right?
Yeah, not like, don't delete related records and don't replace data with fines. Replace all as a bad command. I'm gonna try to get the music to run.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!